Captain Elena Vasquez stood before the Galactic Defense Council, her weathered hands clasped behind her back as 7 alien species regarded her with expressions ranging from polite skepticism to outright disdain. The crystalline Zephyrians clicked their translucent fingers against the obsidian table, while the insectoid Vextar representatives buzzed in what she'd learned was their equivalent of dismissive laughter. "Let me understand this correctly, Captain," wheezed Ambassador Colthera, the methane-breathing Grockian whose environmental suit made his voice sound like grinding metal. "You wish to deviate from our precisely calculated patrol route? Because of a feeling?" Elena's jaw tightened. 3 years of serving alongside alien crews, and they still couldn't grasp what made humanity unique. With respect, Ambassador, human intuition has evolutionary roots spanning millions of years. Our ancestors survived by reading subtle environmental cues that our conscious minds couldn't process. The room erupted in a symphony of alien dismissal. The Zephyrians' melodic chimes grew discordant, while the plant-like Verdani rustled their leaves in what could only be described as botanical scoffing. Commander Zektor of the militant Korth Empire slammed his forearms against the table. "Superstition," he roared, his mandibles clicking aggressively. "We have sensor arrays that can detect gravitational fluctuations across light years, quantum computers that process 1 trillion variables per nanosecond, and you want us to trust your gut feeling?" Elena had felt it 3 days ago, a wrongness that started as a faint itch between her shoulder blades and had grown into a persistent sense of dread. The patrol route through the Nexus corridor was mathematically perfect, accounting for fuel efficiency, response times to 17 different sectors, and optimal positioning for early warning detection. Every algorithm agreed it was flawless, but something was wrong. "The route calculations don't account for predator behavior patterns," Elena insisted. "The Devourers aren't just mindless destroyers. They're hunters. They study their prey." Admiral Yithkara of the ancient cosmic shepherds floated in her containment sphere, her ethereal form shimmering with condescension. "Captain Vasquez, the Devourers are cosmic parasites operating on instinct. They consume energy and move on. There is no intelligence, no strategy." "That's what we thought about wolves too," Elena muttered. The translation system struggled with her reference, producing confused burbles and clicks from the assembled delegates. Elena straightened, deciding to make one last attempt. "Look, I've read the historical data. Every time the Devourers have struck a major target, they've done so after creating diversions in adjacent sectors. They draw off the main defensive forces, then hit their real target. The Nexus corridor route puts our entire fleet exactly where they'd want us, scattered and responding to false alarms while they attack the core worlds." Commander Zektor's laugh was like grinding stone. "And you base this on what evidence? Sensor data? Quantum analysis? No. You base it on the same primitive neural pathways that once helped your ancestors avoid large predators in trees." The vote wasn't even close. 7 species against 1 human's instincts. The fleet would follow the calculated route. 2 days later, Admiral Vorthon of the Zephyrian Crystal Fleet sent the first distress signal. His ships, assigned to the outer rim of their patrol pattern, were under attack by a Devourer scouting force. Within hours, 6 more minor incursions erupted across the sector, each one pulling vessels away from their designated positions. Elena watched from the bridge of the human dreadnought Indomitable as the fleet fragmented exactly as her instincts had warned. The Grockian deep space monitors rushed to investigate gravitational anomalies that turned out to be false readings. The Verdani bioships redirected to protect their seed colonies from probe attacks that evaporated before reinforcements arrived. "Captain," reported Lieutenant Commander Chen from the sensor station, "we're receiving scattered transmission fragments from the outer perimeter. It sounds like singing?" Elena's blood went cold. She'd heard that sound before, in classified briefings about the Altair massacre. "They're not singing," she said quietly. "They're calling. Sound the alert, all frequencies. Ma'am, we don't have authorization to—" "Now!" The Indomitable's emergency broadcast reached what remained of the scattered fleet, just as the real attack began. Through the dimensional fold came not the expected small raiding force, but the largest Devourer swarm ever recorded, a writhing mass of organic ships that defied both physics and sanity. But Elena was ready. While the aliens had dismissed her warnings, She'd quietly repositioned the human vessels into what appeared to be random patrol adjustments. Each ship now occupied a critical intersection where they could provide overlapping fields of fire and mutual support. More importantly, they controlled the approach vectors to the three most vital infrastructure hubs. "All human vessels implement Protocol Primal," Elena commanded. Across the comm channels, her fellow human captains acknowledged with grim satisfaction. Protocol Primal wasn't in any official manual. It was pure human warfare based on pack-hunting strategies and territorial defense patterns that predated written history. The Devourers came like a tide of nightmares, their bioships pulsing with stolen energy and malevolent hunger. They expected scattered prey, easy pickings distracted by false alarms. Instead, they met concentrated firepower from positions that gave them no room to maneuver. Human ships didn't just fight, they hunted using the environment itself as a weapon. They herded the Devourers into crossfires, collapsed dimensional pockets to trap entire formations, and when cornered, fought with a desperate ferocity that shocked even their alien allies. Captain Martinez of the Unyielding rammed her burning cruiser into a Devourer command ship, buying precious seconds for the evacuation fleets. Commander Singh turned the Relentless into a flying bomb, taking out an entire cluster of bioships in a nuclear fireball that lit up the sector. And through it all, Elena coordinated the defense with an intuition that seemed to predict every enemy movement. She couldn't explain how she knew where the next attack would come, or which formation to prioritize. She simply knew. When the last Devourer ship fled back into dimensional space, the aftermath was sobering. Half the fleet was gone, but the core worlds remained intact. Billions of lives had been saved by what the Council had dismissed as primitive superstition. Ambassador Kolthara found Elena in the observation deck 3 hours later, staring out at the debris field where so many good people had died. "Captain," the Grockian wheezed, his usual arrogance replaced by something approaching humility. "The Council. We owe you an apology." Elena didn't turn around. "No," she said quietly. "You owe my species respect. There's a difference." The next fleet patrol routes, she noted with satisfaction, included recommendations from human tactical advisors, not algorithms or sensor data, just the evolved instincts of a species that had clawed its way up from prey to apex predator. Sometimes the oldest wisdom was the most valuable of all.